Hi, this is Bill Hartzer, and today is October 31st, Halloween, and 2019. And today I have on the Bill Hartzer podcast, I have Casey Markee, and we're going to talk a little bit about WordPress and search engine optimization and optimizing WordPress sites and so forth. So, biggest thing on a lot of people's mind is this Google BERT update that happened, or actually what's been happening for a while now, and kind of in the background, and now we're getting kind of the news, and all the PR that Google's been doing about it. So Casey, tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing SEO, and how long you've been in the industry and so forth, and what you're doing now.
Absolutely, Bill. Thanks for having me today. Happy Halloween to everyone today. I hope you are doing well and not dodging 60-mile-an-hour Santa Ana winds or random wildfires, because, we are doing that on a daily basis here on the action set that is Southern California. So good times on that. As Bill said, I've been in SEO for a little while. I've been in SEO since about 1999, 98, 99. The days of Dogpile and Excite, where I started positioning outdoor gear, magnetic mattresses, and the occasional breast enhancement pill at the top of Google before moving on to a little bit bigger clients. I founded and started my own consultancy firm called MediaWise back in about January of 2000 now. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've specifically concentrated on the niche of food, lifestyle, and do-it-yourself bloggers who are predominantly on the WordPress platform. So I'm very familiar with it. Probably audited conservatively at least 400 sites just in the last couple of years, just on that platform. Provides a lot of data to work from, so it's been interesting to say the least. Excited to be here.
Sure. So, are there anything, you've seen a lot of WordPress sites, and is there anything that a lot of sites, I guess, have in common that are, issues that, we talk about, and whether it's, schema issues, or is there something in common that basically most, WordPress site owners,
just make the
basically,
same mistake,
do the same, have the same errors. I mean, I see certain sites, that do that. For example, they may have migrated, a large site may have migrated to HTTPS, but they didn't do the migration properly, or those types of things. What actually is out there that that everybody's kind of making a mistake on?
Yeah, you hit a good one there. Usually when people are moving to a new platform, or maybe they're doing a site-wide permalink change, very, very common to add extra server hops to the server when that's done. I've seen many instances where I've gone up, check the server headers, and there's 2, 3, or sometimes even 4 301 redirects on there. And, even though Google has said for many times that, hey, we follow up to 5 of these, no, it's still very, very poor SEO to have any redirects on your server. So that's one of the things I see over and over again is some people have Cloudflare and they'll add an extra 301 redirect there just because they're incorrectly setting up the settings at the server. So going in and deselecting one of those redirects disappears, or going in and making sure redirects are done correctly. See that all the time. Other technical issues that we might see might be the fact that they changed their permalinks, but they didn't do a very good job of updating their internal links.
Sure.
That's just a gimme. So we want to go in and update all the old permalinks internally from the ones with dates to the ones without, just so that'll help a little bit with performance. We also see issues with schema all the times. We see they're either using outdated plugins that are not JSON LD optimal, or they're mixing schemas they shouldn't be mixing, or they're missing attributes, or they're generating errors by using things they shouldn't be using. So I see that a ton. And probably the other most common one is just an inability to optimize effectively and efficiently for page speed. So they are just bottom line slow. They have very slow first contentful paints. We want to try to have that as close to 2.2 seconds as possible, but they're at 5, 6, sometimes 7+ seconds. Slow server response times. Maybe they don't know how to set up a caching plugin, so that'll help them considerably, or maybe they've never done image optimization. All that stuff adds up to a very low user experience, page speed issue. And the funny thing is that because everyone is on a mobile phone, in many cases using 4G, if not 5G now in most areas, they think they're loading fast. They're just not understanding that what they're seeing in many cases might be because they've cached their own sites over and over again. And so therefore they're not getting a full realistic view of how their site is performing for the majority of users on that platform.
Yeah.
So we want to dial that stuff in. It's funny about Google and PageSpeed because there isn't really, I mean, you could get to a certain level and that's that. Google doesn't really have a fast page bonus. It's more like a slow page detriment. If you are certain slow, you're going to get in trouble. But if you get to a level of fast, I can't make you faster and have you get a huge boost algorithmically. Now, we just want to get you to a level where you're competitive or above average for your niche, and that's what we try to shoot for.
So there is, you mentioned schema, and that's one of the things actually when I kind of go in and optimize a site. Certainly if they've done no schema or no markup at all, certainly I'll see. That's one of the things I definitely go in and do. Is there a difference between errors and warnings, and should we be paying attention to the fact that, oh, well, there's a warning that we don't have the price data on, in one particular field or something like that. What's the difference between an error and a warning?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Run that, well, actually what you're doing is you're going in and you're doing the schema and you're adding the markup, and then, saving the page and then running. Ideally you would run like the Google testing tool, schema testing tool, to make sure there's not any errors or warnings or and so forth.
Yeah. So kind of in answer to your question, there's definitely we definitely want to approach warnings and errors completely different. Warnings will never kill you. It's always a good idea to kind of fill out as many of the attributes as we can. That's just good for usability, and it'll also increase the value to the user, and also make sure that you're generating as many rich snippets as you can possibly qualify for you. But errors are always bad. Errors can lead to penalties. Errors can lead to spammy structured data penalties. Errors are a clear sign of low quality. If you have errors, that will prohibit you from getting featured in the carousels. I have literally, again, it's not even in dispute. You have errors, you're going to get knocked out of the carousels, especially the mobile carousels these days. You'll also, in many cases, lose your rich snippets. We've seen issues where if you have site-wide errors, for example, where you've just lost all your rich snippets. You wake up one day and, oh my God, all my rich snippets are wrong. And it's because you hired a developer that coded your schema wrong, or you added all this extra schema, not gibberish that you didn't need. Google's penalized you for it. You've lost all your schema. Now, the good thing is that you can remove the schema very quickly, trigger a recrawl, and it'll pop in super, super fast. So that's great. We can correct those errors if you know what to look for them. And as you mentioned, you'd want to use a tool like the Google Structured Data tool to test this very easily on your site, or you'd want to go into your Search Console. Google's really good about having more real-time data these days. The lag is becoming less and less. So I can see clearly in many cases where my errors and where my warnings are by looking at my structured data report, usually I'll have breadcrumbs listed, and I'll have recipes possibly listed, and I'll have, item list data listed there. I might have some other product, those might be issues there that I can just pop in, look at the page level report, and correct what I need to correct.
So as far as schema goes, and maybe we have a couple hundred posts on our on our blog, on our site. It could be recipes, it could be any kind of post. Does it make sense to actually, is there a benefit to going back to those old posts and adding schema to those old posts and saving them again and updating them, or should we just say the heck with it and just from now on when we make a post we'll actually add the schema to the new posts?
Well, I'm definitely all about updating and repurposing old content. In many cases, when I have an audit, I'm very fortunate to have a pretty good reputation in that I have a lot of clients who had audits and are like, oh my God, had this audit with Casey and my traffic is up a ridiculous percentage. Like I had one client whose traffic was up like 16,000%. It was ridiculous. They went from like 20,000 sessions to 4 million sessions, but that happened over a period of time, 2 years. I mean, it still happened, but nevertheless, awesome. But in their cases, they basically republished. They had 500, 600, 700 posts. They went through, did comprehensive content auditing. They immediately removed probably about 25% of that old content that they knew didn't fit into their niche, that they knew they were never going to get to an updating, and that they knew had quality issues. Then they went ahead and bucketed the rest of the remaining content and started going back and republishing the content with full structured data, as you mentioned, making sure that the content was as high quality as it can be, and then started featuring the content seasonally when it was topically relevant to the user. And also, again, making sure that they didn't really touch their content unicorns much. When we talk about content unicorns, we're talking about every site has a percentage of traffic or a percentage of posts that generate anywhere from 51 to 100% of their traffic. Looks like I'm going to have to shut that down here. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. So in many cases, when we're doing content auditing, which honestly the average blogger who wants to be successful should be doing on a daily basis, we're going to go ahead and classify our content into buckets. And we might have a significantly small percentage of content that generates the majority of our traffic. I'll be honest with you, we very seldom touch that unless we have to. It's doing well. There's no reason to fix something that isn't broken, especially if the content is already ranking competitively at the top 3 results of Google. As you said, would I go back and add structured data to those? Maybe not, because unless I have the ability to go in, many plugins, especially if it's in the recipe niche, have the ability to go in and log directly into the plugin, make the structured data changes, and that will show on the page without triggering a recrawl. We don't have to go into the post at all. In that case, I'm all for it because we haven't updated the post. We haven't had to trigger a recrawl on the page. There's no way for us to upset the ship, so to speak. So that's a positive. But if I have to go into the page and make changes to it, I'm not going to. There's no reason to it. Some people may disagree. That's fine. They're entitled to their opinion. But my data shows that we don't fix what's not broken. And if I've got a post that may look bad to me, but Google is absolutely freaking loving and it's in the top 3, not going to touch it. I'm going to focus on all this low-hanging fruit, all this other content, the 75% of other content on my site that's only generating 5 to 10% of my traffic, and I'm going to make it better.
So what about WordPress plugins? I'm very, I like to primarily I don't like a lot of plugins, and basically it's not really because there's just so many, things doesn't necessarily slow stuff down, but it's just more of a maintenance issue and things potentially conflicting with other things. I mean, I had an issue yesterday where just updating a plugin added some more CSS and made a slider, on a site just all of a sudden just freak out and not show any photos in the slider. So what's your theory on, plugins? I mean, and in general, I mean, do we need all these plugins, or
Yeah, it can. I totally get it. There is so many plugins. You can literally have plugin paralysis. We don't know, should I install this plugin? Can I install this plugin? I know you're big on trying to keep a very light install, and there is clearly benefits to that from a paid speed site. But in my niche, it's very common to have 30, 40, even 50 plugins. You'd be surprised at how many plugins you need if you're using a child theme or if you have a custom theme or if you're running ads. Running ads, requires a Google Analytics plugin in many cases, usually Monster Insights. And then we've got 2 or 3 plugins from the ad company. Then we've got a push notification plugin. Then we've got maybe a mailer plugin. We've got maybe a social media plugin. I've got the recipe plugin. I've got Yoast. I've got speed optimization, maybe image optimization like Short Pixel. Maybe I've got a database plugin. I'm running a caching plugin like WP Rocket. Yeah, they add up. Is that going to kill you? No, but like you said, we want to test all that for conflicts whenever we can, which is why it was a good idea for bloggers to learn to use a staging server whenever they can, so they can make changes that way and then push the changes live to their production site. But honestly, that's just not really realistic for a blogger that has less than, say, 250,000 sessions a month. They probably are never going to
Sure.
invest in a production server like that, or they're not with a support team. With bloggers, especially in my niche, I have a majority, not a majority, but a good percentage, a good growing minority of clients are coming to me because they're relatively newer bloggers trying to build their traffic to qualify for an ad network. And so, it's very common that they have less plugins at the time. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I'll have established bloggers who are already doing very well. They just want to do better. They want to buy a second home or something like that.
Yep.
And so in many cases, they have access to those resources. They have a dedicated staff. They have a production server. They might be easily running 30 to 50 plugins. And mostly it's just us going in and changing out a plugin for something else, or looking at the site and make sure that the settings are dialed in. But yeah,
Yep.
plugin paralysis is a real thing. And we were talking earlier, Auto Optimize is a great plugin, but it can cause conflicts with a lot of other plugins. So I tend to, when I see that someone has that installed, I will initially go there and see, okay, hey, maybe this is the plugin causing the issues. And then we'll deactivate plugins one at a time and test it accordingly.
Speaking of, there's actually kind of a critical issue with the broken link checker plugin that apparently has an issue. And so I like to actually, there's a plugin that I use, which is the by Search Engine Journal, and I don't remember the name of it, but I can, if you ping me later, I'll send it over. But it's a small plugin, but basically it allows you to manage everybody. It tells you and helps you manage in a dashboard who you're linking out to, and you can just look through that list of domains and make sure that you're linking out to sites that you should be linking out to. You can actually then decide basically whether you want to remove the link or keep it as it is or make it a no follow link. And it's an interesting plugin just for managing to see who you're linking out to. I mean, I do like, even on my own sites, to do audits, which is basically not really an audit, but maybe a check-in of, taking Screaming Frog,
Sure.
just running it on and checking for, 301 redirects and, internal, 404s and seeing who I'm linking out to. But what's your take on internal linking? I mean, is internal linking, a good benefit and something to do, to spend time on?
Yeah, very much so. You mentioned that broken link checker plugin. Man, that is tough because I love that plugin. I recommended it to bloggers to use on every audit over the last several years because it is very WYSIWYG. It's so easy to use. What you see is what you get. We install the plugin. I make 2 changes so that they don't get emailed. We run it live during the audit call, and by the end of the audit call, I can show them the list of broken links on their site and then show them, here, unlink this, redirect this, change the link physically on the page here. So losing that plugin, which apparently just happened over the last couple of days, apparently there's some kind of a 0-day exploit on it, and they're not going to be updating the plugin at all. That's a loss. So I'm currently looking for another option, and you'd mentioned the SEJ plugin, so we'll have to see if that works. But yeah, I cannot even understate the importance of solid internal linking. We have taken sites will come to me, and we've had audits here and here and there, and we just haven't had any improvement. And I'm like, where's your internal linking audit? Excuse me? Mm-hmm. Haven't even looked at their internal architecture, haven't even looked at their internal linking. We'll go in, identify all the orphan posts on the site. All they'll do for the next couple of weeks is send internal links to these orphan posts. Lo and behold, traffic increases because we've sent these new signals into this previously orphaned content. Now, I will tell you that one of my biggest wins over the last couple months specifically is I've been focusing more on getting rid of tag pages. I tell you, I'm not a fan of tag pages at all. Tag pages to me are useless. We've evolutioned, we've gone above the need for tag pages these days. Category pages, very important. They're like the windows into our house that is our blog. We can optimize the crap out of that. We can add text to them. We can add item list schema. We can interlink those very effectively and they'll be good. Tag pages, though, no need to do that because I've come across sites that literally have more tag pages than they have entire pages on their site. It's not even close.
Yeah, I've seen one that would have a post pages. And will have 26 tags on it. I mean, on that one post, and they think they're adding keywords and so forth, and Oh man,
And
it,
so
it is. It can
what
be a
I've been
mess.
doing is we've been no indexing them for a while, but recently what I've been doing is having them go in and just physically remove the tags from the post
Yeah.
because they've been linking internally to all these tag pages and it's destroying the internal flow of their page rank. So
Yep.
I tell them, I use the example, I use the metaphor of a black hole. They have a recipe or a blog post. They've got 20 tag links at the bottom of this post. We've
Hmm.
no indexed those 20 pages. And yet all that authority is flowing through those to those no index pages. It's gone. Can't recover that.
Yeah.
And if we no follow it, as page rank sculpting doesn't work. If we no follow that, we've just lost that page rank. So instead, we go into the post, we remove all those 20 tags. We click update. All of a sudden, I've got all this page rank that I've recovered a little bit that is now flowing back in internally to the rest of the site. I tell you, it's one of the simplest things to do. And if it's news to
Well,
anyone on the call,
what
you
I've
know,
also done though is actually just go in and edit the theme or edit the theme so that those tags, wherever they're showing up, which tend to be the end of the like the either they're
they're either on
basically
the
on
at the
either
header
sidebar
content or they're the.
or somewhere, and
Mhm.
literally just remove them from the theme, so that they're not, in the template. And so literally
Yeah.
that at the end of the post, you don't have these big tags, and just remove, they're not there. They may be actually still tagged in WordPress, in the back end, but if you don't actually have a link to it, there you go. I mean,
And
there's
that's the
another way
simplest.
to be able to
And
do it.
that's the simplest way to do it. If someone has coding experience, honestly, I would definitely recommend that
Yeah,
you do Bill's approach. But in many cases, if you're on the call here, you can't do it. You have no idea how to
yeah,
edit your theme to do that. So it's not going to be too much work for you. Go in, unlink the tags from the page, click update, move on with the rest of your
yep,
day. Stop using tags going forward. That's always a good strategy. But definitely right on the ball, Bill. That's definitely the way to go if you can. If you have the ability to
yeah.
edit your theme, it's not going to take anything else. That'll do it.
We're just about out of time, so how can we get in touch with you and ask you any questions, WordPress questions, or hire you to do an audit? How can we get in touch?
Oh, thanks, Bill. So first of all, I'm going to be at State of Search next week. I'm very fortunate to be speaking there on
Yep.
Monday, one of the best regional conferences in the country. Bill is a part of that. He's basically the man behind them. He's basically the man behind the
Yep.
curtain. He's wearing a lot of hats this year, so that's exciting. Hopefully, if you're in there, definitely say hi. I'll buy you a beer or two, most likely three. I like beer. It's not
Okay.
a bad thing. Or you can reach me online. My site is mediawise.com. That's mediawise.com. Y is in yellow. You can also find me on Twitter, MediaWise, or on Facebook at facebook.com/MediaWise, or search for Casey Markee. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'm always great for a nice fact on the awesome cut of meat that is called bacon. Fantastic.
All
Always
right.
like that. Great.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me this afternoon, and we will be in touch. I will see you probably next week.
Looking forward to it. Happy Halloween, Bill. We'll
All right.
talk again soon.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks. All right. Cheers.